This is Cleopatra's Needle. You can find the needle on the Victorian embankment alongside the Thames near the Embankment tube station. The needle has been in place since 1878 and is a popular tourist attraction for visitors to London. Whilst the needle itself has a long and interesting history, it is these scars you can find all over the needle and the Sphinx either side which tell another story. This is probably the most well-known example of damage caused by German bombing during the First World War. Subscribers to this channel will have probably seen the video on bomb damage caused during the Second World War. If you haven't, I will include the link in the comments section. This feels like a natural sequel, even if it should probably have been the other way around. Think of this like a prequel. If Star Wars can do it, so can I. This is 5 places in London you can still see bomb damage from World War I. I will also include a bonus at the end of the video of some World War bomb shrapnel you can find in a very unusual place. Let me know in the comments if you know of any other visible bomb damage in London from World War I or from any other location in the UK. The First World War saw many new military tactics never used before in warfare. Chemical weapons such as mustard gas and chlorine were used on a large scale for the first time, with horrifying results, and most importantly, generals started to realise the potential for air power. Human flight was still in its infancy, aircraft having only been around for a decade or so, and both the German and British military were exploring its potential. The Royal Air Force wouldn't be formed until the end of the war, with the Army and Navy having their own separate flying corps for most of the conflict. The German military realised that with the small air force Britain had available being used overseas, the skies were generally undefended, and decided to bring the war to the civilian population. The first aerial threat came from Zeppelins, giant airships that could carry out silent raids, dropping bombs on military and civilian targets. After carrying out successful attacks on Paris, the first attack on Britain was launched on the 19th of January 1915, targeting towns on the east coast, and over 50 bombing raids were made by Zeppelins over Britain during the course of the war, killing over 500 civilians. Later, the Germans would make use of the Gotha heavy bombers, as the Zeppelins were too slow-moving and presented easy targets for anti-aircraft guns. The Gothas were faster and more accurate, and they could be used for daylight raids, whereas Zeppelins could only be used at night as they were such an easy target. The large loss of life to a small and inexperienced air force was mainly due to a lack of warning of an attack. While sirens had been around for many years, aerial bombing raids were such a new experience in warfare that nobody thought to use them to warn the population of an attack, and most victims were caught by surprise. Some of the victims were actually doing the opposite of seeking shelter, and were coming out of their homes and places of work to watch an attack unfold. London was a popular target for German bombing raids, and they would use the River Thames as an easy navigation aid. It was the night of 4th of September 1917 when Cleopatra's Needle was bombed. A 50-kilogram bomb was dropped by a Gotha bomber, and 3 people on a passing tram were killed in the blast. It is believed that the bomb was intended for Charing Cross Station but missed its target. Charing Cross Station was an important departure point for troops heading towards the front line. Our second location is near Lincoln Inn Fields. It was on the night of the 13th of October 1915 that a Zeppelin dropped a bomb that landed in the roadway near the chapel. The windows of the chapel were shattered, and you can still see the damage to the walls. The exact location of the bomb impact has had a stone set into the ground. Thankfully, nobody was killed. Our third location can be found on Farringdon Road. At number 61 there is a plaque set into the wall at knee height stating that the premises were totally destroyed on the 8th of September 1915 and rebuilt just 2 years later. With a sense of irony, the building that was rebuilt was named Zeppelin Building to add to the plaque as a reminder of the building's history. Our fourth location is a short walk from Farringdon Road at St John's Gate. This time it wasn't a Zeppelin, but rather a Gotha bomber. On the 18th of December 1917, a bomb fell on the buildings next to Passing Alley, a narrow passageway connecting St John's Lane and St John Street. The rubble resulting from the explosion made the passageway impassable for several months and was only reopened once the building was rebuilt. The fifth location can be found on Southampton Row at the Bedford Hotel. On the 24th of September 1917, a Gotha bomber dropped a £112 bomb on the street outside the hotel, killing 13 people and injuring a further 22. The damage has been repaired, and all that remains is this plaque to honour the dead. The final location, and certainly one of the strangest places to find bomb shrapnel from any war, is in the Church of St Edmund the King and Martyr on Lombard Street in the City of London. The church was probably the worst hit of all the city churches and experienced a direct hit on the morning of the 7th of July 1917. Underneath the altar at the back of the church, a glass panel contains part of some of the shrapnel from the bomb. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and check out the other videos on the Offbeat London channel.